Hey folks, it's your pal Mike Shea from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of... Oh no! Why do I have the audio going? Oh, God, that's terrible. Sorry. Forgot to mute the main channel. Another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy DM Prep, in which I spend about an hour talking to you folks and preparing for my Sunday D&D game. In this case, I am running Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So you can hear all about that adventure while we talk about D&D and look at how we prep for our game. In previous episodes, I used to go through the 8 steps, the 8 preparation steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. I have now recorded a video on YouTube. It's about a 10-minute video where I go through all of the 8 steps and describe what they are and why we do them. So if you're not familiar with the 8 steps and you want to hear about those, you can go to that video. It is down in the show notes, both on Twitch and on Twitter. So you should be able to find it there. And that way we can spend this show talking about new stuff every time. Step Back History is here. Hello, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you. This is as close as I have to an Irish shirt. It's a Hawaiian shirt with turtles on it. But it'll have to do. So let's see. What have we got going on? So in last week's game, they have their deed in hand, and they got to Trollskull Manor, their new manor. And they, Radic G is here. Hello, welcome. So they got the deed and they saw the house and they saw that it's kind of a dump, and they started meeting a couple of people on the street, a couple of the NPCs on the street. So that was kind of interesting. They started to see some of the other buildings that are around them and who else is on Trollskull, and they showed up at the front door. And they met a woman who runs like a local, I forget what her name is. She's in the book somewhere. Let me pull that up. Where's that window? Trollskull Alley. Wasn't Corellon's. Tiger's Eye. Wasn't the Rakshasa. I think it's kind of cool. There's a Rakshasa. I'm missing somebody. I guess it's here. Who is he? Rishal. Rishal the Page Turner. Dragonborn. And she kind of told them, good afternoon. Hi, Janine. Jenny? Jan? So they met her, and she kind of said, no one's actually ever been able to spend a full day in this place. And they're like, oh, well, we will. And they walked in the front door, and the front door closed and slammed shut, and everything got really eerie and weird. And then they were like, what's going on? And they tried to open the door, and they couldn't open the door. And then they're kind of walking around the bar, and they go over to the fire to light the fire, and it flares up with blue light, blue fire. And everything gets really cold and like, okay, this is creepy. And then they start to see weird stuff, ghosts. And then they open up the thing to the cellar and like, wow, there's a big thing into the cellar. And then the rogue goes over and he's like, I'm opening this front door. And he starts opening the front door. And I realized I made a terrible mistake when I was preparing for this game. And that is, if we look at Trollskull Manor, that's Trollskull Alley. Let's look at the manor itself. Let's see. Is in the handouts. Trollskull Manor and Tavern. So the Manor and Tavern are really kind of 2 separate buildings. And if you look at it, you come in the main door in the lower left, but this whole main floor is not actually connected to any of the rest of the manor above. There's no stairwell that leads from the tavern to the rest of the manor. And then I closed and sealed all the doors. So it's like, they're not actually going to be able to get anywhere except the basement. Right? They can get that to the basement, but I kind of want him to go explore the rest of the place. So when he opened the door here, instead of it appearing outside, it opened up to the 2nd floor here. And it immediately started to make them nauseous because they realized like they're not looking the right way. They're looking through a doorway, but the doorway is now peering west when they should be peering north, and that just threw off their internal compass. So that way I figured they had a way to explore the rest of the building, but they never actually made it outside of the tap room and the basement. So they started to climb down they were trying to figure out what's going on. And a couple of people said, well, we're going to go down to the basement. And they started to go down to the basement, and the hatch to the basement slammed shut and cut them off. And then down in the basement was a Bandar Hob. Bandar Hobs are really bad. So the characters are level 2 at this point, right? I think. No, they're level 3. I think they might have hit level 3. Did I level them? I'm pretty sure they're level 3. So they're not totally, useless. But a Bandar Hob is badass, right? It's a CR5. And it separated the party out. So, but I wasn't like, it's not going to just sit there and start killing them. But it did swallow one of the characters, right? It immediately swallowed one of the characters, and the character started to take the necrotic damage. And then meanwhile, one of the characters who was at the fireplace saw from a painting, a hag started to crawl out of the painting. And she charmed him. And then he was about to do stuff, and then they were kind of dealing with all of that, and we had this like split party where half of them are fighting the Bandar Hob downstairs and the other half are dealing with the hag. And then the priest turned the hag. He used the equivalent of turn, because she was a fae, he could turn her, something like that. And she fled, and when she did, the Bandar Hob fled as well and kind of left them. So they knew that it was haunted. And then they still know that the bartender's still there. He's a specter, and he's haunting the place too. But he seems to be different than the Bandar Hob and the hag. So, by the way, if my mom is in chat, hi, Mom. And I'm not seeing you in chat. So if you're chatting in chat, you're not showing up in chat. So you may want to hit reload or something like that. My mom was chatting in the chat channel last week, and it never showed up, and we don't know why. She could see everybody else's chat, and she was watching the show, but no, couldn't see her in the chat. So hello anyway. Hello, Mother. Yeah, so that got rid of the haunting. And at that point, the door, they were kind of like getting their bearings straight and figuring out what's going on. And there was a knock at the door, and there is one of the NPCs holding a fruit basket saying, oh, you made the night. You apparently were here all night. And they're like, all night? It was like an hour. And they're like, no, we were here a long time. So didn't quite go as well as I had hoped. And we can take a look at last week's note. Oh, yeah. So I have these, the limericks were hysterical. And they're going to have new limericks, apparently. I'm going to keep those in the notes. In fact, why don't I grab those? All sorts of fun things. And I have a new player today. So one of our players from the previous game, James, his life has gotten busy. He's getting engaged in all kinds of stuff, and he is no longer able to make the game. So another friend of 2 of the other players is coming today. His name is Adam. I have not met him before. And he will be joining the group. So give me one sec. Over like a little bit of a cold, so I get a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to be muting from time to time. So when we look back at the notes, it's always kind of interesting to see like what's secret, what worked, right? So scenes, the deed was delivered. There was the haunting at the house. The characters got split up with slamming doors, and the neighbors came to visit. None of the faction agents showed up or anything like that. So we don't have anything like that. Hauntings, Leaf was there. We had the closet that ate people was there. So that door that he opened that went into the other place eventually turned into a giant like mouth that tried to suck them in from Poltergeist. There weren't any dead children, but they could hear the feet up above. There was the hag coming out of the painting. There was no woman bathing in child blood. There was no seduction by the hag. There was a Bandar Hob eating people. There were pictures of there was a picture of the characters. They saw that like a child, one of the characters as a child showed up in the picture of the hag. We did split the party with locked doors. Oh yeah. And they did. I remember this. So when the guy opened up another door, he went to the south door and he opened it up and he saw a hag's lair out in the swamps. And he saw these huge, these huge cow looking things with long necks, and the player's like, oh my God, I know what those are. And then he's like, I'm getting out of here. And as soon as he turned, one of the things like looked at him and he went, and he fell over with 0 hit points. I didn't kill him, but he just got a touch of that. So that was fun. So they definitely were afraid. It was a little bit of just like shoving him around with big CR creatures, which isn't always that much fun, but they did turn him. They got, one of the things I realized after I had started was like, I don't really have a success criteria for them. I don't know what they're going to do to win, and that's bad, right? But they figured one out, which was they turned the hag, and when they did that, that was the success criteria. So it wasn't terrible, but it would have been like, what's their goal? How do they get rid of the hag, at least initially, to the point where they have to worry about it? And they know they haven't killed the hag, so they're like, what the hell's up with this hag? So I think we're gonna have more fun with that. So no one has ever spent the whole night in Trollskull Manor. They did learn that the manor's haunted. They learned that one is evil, one isn't. They learned that. Leaf was murdered by his own servant. They know that. They don't know about where that servant is. They know that the Trollskull Manor was an orphanage. They don't know about Auntie Petiti. I don't know that they ever even heard her name yet. They learned about the secret entrance to the sewers. They don't know that there is a exit to the Undermountain in there, but that can be figured out. So my mom's chat. Does anybody know why my mom would be seeing everybody and seeing her own chats showing up, but not actually seeing the chats show up in the window? I would suggest reload the stream, and we'll see if that works. Oh, you can't see my dark. Terrible. Too many things. Here's my markdown. So these are the notes, right? Yeah. I can't imagine I would have banned her. And if I banned her, she wouldn't be able to chat at all, right? So, no, I don't think that's it. I don't know why that would have been. There's no rooms. I don't know. Is there a non-verified Twitch account status? I don't know what that means. Those are interesting words, but I don't know what that means. So let's see. So I used a bunch of those secrets. About how, it always seems like I use about half the secrets that I line up, which is perfectly fine. The secrets are there for a lot of advantages. And one of them is just to kind of get my head around the game, but then also some of them are just, you always want to have more secrets than you're going to use. If you burn out of secrets, you're in trouble. If you burn out of secrets and you still have time left in the game, that means they're not going to learn anything, and you're going to have to come up with stuff. And the reason why we prepare secrets is because they're hard to improvise. Like this is to me, the formation of those 10 secrets is a real key to my, it's a real key to my prep. And, it's one of the things that I want to spend the time on early. So yeah. What else? So that was all we had from last week. So now let's go to our next week's game. So this week, and this is where I get nervous. I think we talked about this in the last session too, the last episode too, but this is where I get nervous because this is so, not like typical D&D games. And I think if we think about all of the different kinds of hardback adventures, all of the types of adventures that exist and all the hardbacks that Wizards has put out since the 5th edition, there's been few that have anything that sort of as open-ended as this chapter, where like it's kind of like you can go do a bunch of stuff. We talked about the joke of like, everybody role play, but a key is like, what's the, so if we think about it, like, okay, so we got this opening. So what's the strong start? They just have the manor. I mean, we could jump a week, right? We could say like a week has passed if we wanted to. And what kind of stuff have you done during the week? And then, so maybe the strong start is a 10-day has passed, right? Let's jump a little bit. Let's move forward. And then we can sort of fill in things that have occurred during those 10 days. Instead of saying like, we're just going to move the timeline out and say of the full 10 days have gone by, sweltering heat of the summer, and here are neighbors that you've met and you've, visited, and we can sort of fill in what has happened during those 10 days to say that like, nothing in particular. And it's about that time when, so we know that we need, this is probably, we should jump to scenes. We know that we're going to need a few things to happen, which is, so we know that faction agents are going to show up. And it's going to be, So Jarlaxle is going to show up. JB Nevercaught is going to show up, right? And he's interested in Uranus. That's also a secret. Uranus is tied to a devil, and that devil is Isakul. So Wily Hobbit says, I can see you, Ivanka Sooth. Hey, there she is. All right. Hi, Mom. Whatever you did, work now. So next time, do the same thing. Took a while. So JB Nevercaught is Jarlaxle Banray, and he knows that he's tied to Uranus, and he thinks that he's interested in Uranus because he knows Uranus is tied to Isakul, and he knows about the devil stuff. So he could be a good faction agent. Another faction agent that is going to show up, I think, is going to be let's see. I don't know if Pat's going to be there today or not. Pat's character is the one that's got a, he's sort of a secret agent. And I think he will, so we're going to skip the Emerald Enclave. We're going to skip, so Force Grey. So, Vajra Saphir. Sends a message to the party. So Vajra Saphir is the black. So now she's become a NPC, right? I can't spell Banray. We'll just call him Jarlaxle. You never need to know the name of that. One of the secrets. So let's do a quick run through the characters. So we have Lord Anton Greycastle, who I think is not going to be there today. And he is a Waterdhavian Noble. And oh yeah, we definitely have to have his lady friend show up. His lady friend is Yagra Stonefist. It's not Ben. It's not Jarlaxle. Jarlaxle Beignet. That's pretty funny. I gotta cough again. So that's pretty funny. So Anton Greycastle's good friend is Banjo Wilkerson, a Tiefling Bard who is trying to make a banjo, a new bard instrument. And no one believes he can do so because that's crazy. John the Grizzled is a dwarf cleric. He's the one that actually turned He's the one that actually turned. I love my Jarlaxle covered in powdered sugar and honey. I bet a lot of people do. He is a kind of a nasty dwarf that is no. You would much rather spend time talking about history. And then we have Aranis is the drow Pact of the Fiend Warlock. He's the one that's tied to Isakul. There's a lot of stuff going on with him because this is I picked the Nine Hells as sort of the villain in this one. I picked the Castellanders as the villain. So the fact that he's connected to the Nine Hells and they are too, I think is a big fun twist in this whole thing. And then Agarin, I'm never gonna remember. I have too many RAs, right? I got Anton, Aranis, and Agarin. People need to pick another continent for their beginning of their name. He is an investigator and a former member of the City Watch, but he's actually and they're called the Chamberpot Gang. It's now the new name. I should put that in here. That could be fun. So, and then I've got a new character that's coming in. So I think I think that Agarin. Yeah, I think it's not a bad rule. This is a Stephen King rule. He says never start characters off with the same letter as another character. You know, it's just too hard. And I think that's probably not a bad idea. Like everybody, you know, you must put a bunch of dice out with letters on them and like everybody roll. Your character's name has to be from that and it can't be the same as anyone else. You know, to get like Scrabble tiles. Like here's all the Scrabble tiles. Everyone pick one, you know, and your character's name has to start with that one because it's just too hard. Agarin, Aranis, Anton, John the Grizzled. Either that or they can get a nickname. So I kind of like the idea that Agarin is actually already a member of the Grey Hands. And that it's kind of like The Departed. I should probably use The Departed as a big model for a lot of this. Like, you know, the villains could kind of be from The Departed. Like you could use a lot. You know, Xanathar could be like the Jack Nicholson character in The Departed. Crazy and holding a human hand. So I got people showing up. Can the first letter be silent? Only if the first pronounced letter is not the same as one of the letters of the other characters. That would work. So, what else do we have? Copland is a good source for material too. One thing I love about the movie Copland is that the whole story has occurred before, right? There's movies where, and I think this is a common thing with like detective movies and pulp detective movies, because L.A. Confidential is the same way. You know, the interesting story in L.A. Confidential all happens off screen. It's the things that have, you know, and what we're watching on screen is the characters sort of figuring out what happened off screen. I suppose good murder mysteries are sort of the same way, although they usually kind of telegraph it. But I think it is interesting to kind of know that there was a whole story that occurred previously. And so the story that could have occurred previously here is that the Castellanders, I can't spell allegiance. This is a massive secret. This is way too long. It's 3 sentences. Big ass secret there. We can separate this out into a bunch of secrets. So there's a bunch of secrets. So Evil John says, that's what I love about detective stories. Rather than focus on the narrative arc of the detectives, the investigation takes on a life on its own and winds up in the traditional narrative arc. Yeah. And we can do that in D&D too. You can still have like, here's a thing that occurred, right? Here's a bunch of things that occurred. And the characters, they can all get broken into secrets, and then the characters can learn all of the secrets. You know, and so I gave a few of these secrets up in my initial thing, which was that like a lot of noble families, what's the other? There's another family. There's a noble family that I want to hint at. They're in one of the other chapters. The Graumans, right? I kind of love tying all of this to Horde of the Dragon Queen. That, you know, so you kind of have this whole story that occurred before. I think Waterdeep Dragon Heist can really do this, right? There's a lot of stories that have happened before, and they, you know, unlike when we talk about, you know, we don't define what story occurs with the characters and the game. We define the stories that have happened before. So the story that happened before was the Cult of the Dragon tried to bring Tiamat to the Sword Coast, and to do so they needed like 1 billion gold, right? They needed tons and tons and tons of money, because I guess he needed the money to draw Tiamat in the Night House. It's just really kind of dumb, but whatever. So huge amounts of money moved in the Sword Coast, and much of it was lost, but then some of it was not lost and was pilfered away. And one of the things that happened is that part of the money was Neverember. Delt Neverember took it. Delt Neverember took half of it. He took it. But what also happened is a lot of noble families that were, you know, unscrupulous, put their fortunes into Tiamat, figuring that if Tiamat rose, their families would be embezzled. And he did. He embezzled the money. He stole it from little villages, right? So yeah, he's a bad dude. Hey, Topher, welcome. So he pilfered the money. He took the money and hid it, and that's the whole point of this one. But also what happened is a bunch of, right, he took it away. Yeah, he's the open lord of Waterdeep, and he tried to take it to rebuild Neverember, but then he just stuck it away anyway. He's not a good guy. So what also happened is a bunch of noble houses put their fortunes behind Tiamat's rise as well, and they bet, and they lost. So many families like went destitute when all of their money disappeared, and it came out that like in many cases they could never really like prove that they were members of the cult, because all they did was give up their fortunes. They didn't really do anything. So they're still out there, but they're broke. And I think the Graumans are one of those. Like the Graumans lost all their money, and the Castellantas and the Graumans were sort of allied houses, although the Graumans were always sort of lesser. To the Castellanters. Oh yeah, he's the hero of his own story. I'm sure he believed that, you know, that the beacon of the Sword Coast is Neverwinter, and he was going to use the money to try to fire up his mercenaries. But he was like triple dipping, right? He wanted a lot. Yeah, I'm sure he's all about Neverwinter, but he was supposed to be, the Open Lord. So, so the Grauhuns, they went destitute and they lost, right? They lost everything. They barely have enough money to scrape by. They got that whole craziness going on in their house. But the Castellanters, they figured a way out. And we're going to switch alliances from Tiamat to Asmodeus. But Asmodeus isn't very nice. He's like, sure, I'll do that under one condition. I want the souls of your 3 children. And they're like, yeah, sure. Because they're evil. What do they care? But then they're actually not. They still love their children. They just thought, oh, well, that's going to be bad. So he said, and in return, I will give you, not only will you ally with me, but I will give you 1 million dragons as well. And they got it. And so all of a sudden, all this money kind of flowed to them. And now they're rich and powerful again, right? And except then they lose the soul of their first child. And they're like, oh my God, we can't let this happen to the other 2. So we got to save the other 2. So their job is, how do we save the souls of our other 2? And they've spent a lot of that million. I think they have some of it, but they have to buy it back. Like, it's in the contract is that they have to buy it back. And Asmodeus is kind of like, yeah, I don't know exactly what he wants in this whole thing, right? But he also is like, well, I'm going to have other players out there too. And he's got lots of them. But one of them is, he has one of his guys, Izakul, and Izakul has control over Uranus. So he's got this whole other angle of like, I don't know what he wants yet. Maybe he doesn't know what he wants yet, but he does know that that's going out there. The interesting thing is all of this story has occurred in the past. So this is all stuff the characters can pick out a piece at a time, which is why I got like 38 secrets here. I guess I have 11 secrets, but these secrets are all not coming out at once. I'm just kind of getting them out of my head. So the other scenes are meeting the neighbors, right? That's not a bad one. So one thing is like, well, this is all very nice, right? But what strong start can occur? What is there a bad thing? Like, I guess some thugs could come for the Chamberpot, right? I can't remember if Pat's going to be here or not. We'll keep that. So I think some thugs are going to come for the Chamberpot. A kidnapping. Could do a kidnapping. It's been done before. That would be kind of an interesting thing. It'd be a big plot because then you got to go find them, right? Maybe an attempted kidnapping. I don't know. I might think about that. It's not really a turf war. So the issue. So here's a funny story, and I don't know if that actually came up, but when I rolled on the Waterdeep Encounters book, which is a fantastic book, I think I linked it here somewhere. Didn't I have it? Yeah, Waterdeep City Encounters. Let's take a look at this. Waterdeep City Encounters is an awesome book. I probably already downloaded it, but let's take it here again. Yeah, so this is it. And Will Doyle put this together. Will Doyle is awesome. He did a whole lot of the work on Tomb of Annihilation. And it's a book of a bunch of encounters. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But you can roll like D100 lists till the cows come home and get stuff. And one of them was you get dumped on with a Chamberpot. And so that happened to the characters. And he got real upset that he got dumped on with a Chamberpot. And it was a real fancy Chamberpot. It was this draconic, it looked like a big dragon. Probably not a real comfortable Chamberpot. And he blasted it and it came out of the window and he got it. And the woman that did it is like, what the hell? And I think she works for like rich people. And the rich people want their Chamberpot back. And they have sent like detectives that, they did a little bit of work and figured out that the Chamberpot, now there's this group called the Chamberpot Gang is around there. And they might have sent thugs. They're like, we want our Chamberpot back. So that's kind of a fun little thing, like beating back thugs, to do the Chamberpot. Yeah, I'll just give like a little example here. So these are all the different charts you can roll on, and there's just tons and tons and tons of encounters, and they all have like little side things that go on. So it's really cool. This is a great way to fill out the city. And I love random stuff. So like a giant book full of random stuff that helps fill out an entire city is a really powerful tool. And this, I can't recommend it enough. Stick this, and you can get it print on demand. It's one of the few print on demand. It's one of the few print on demand books that you can get on D&D Beyond, not D&D Beyond, on DM's Guild. And I got it, and it's worth it. It was definitely good to get in paper because it's a nice thing to throw in my backpack. So I recommend it. Hey, look at that. Somebody already bought it. So, yeah, I could do a kidnapping. I'm still thinking about the kidnapping. I don't know. So fantastic locations. I'm not really going to... Well, so an interesting one would be... and I'm trying to remember where they are. The big statues. Let's go to the Enchiridion here. Is there a Waterdeep map somewhere in this Enchiridion? Hang on. Poster map, DM version. Let's open that in one tab. And they are, wow, you get either really big or really small, don't you? So, I'm trying to remember where, I think they're in the North Ward, right? Oh, there's Trollskull Alley. Look at that. Okay. So the Sword Maiden is nearby. And the Godcatcher. Both of those would be cool places. So I think, the Sword Maiden is in pieces, right? But it's right down the street from Enchiridion. So let's take a look at this. A statue of the Sword Maiden, honorable knights, a female knight, and it was destroyed. So it was the one that was broken apart. And you have Thort's findings. So that's kind of a fantastic location. Right, it's like a 30-foot high head. How high are the statues? 90 feet tall. So that would make the head what? Is the head a fifth? It's big. Great big head. Yeah, the Godcatcher is another one. And that's nearby. Like, that's the Godcatcher. Isn't that great? And there's an inn at the bottom, right? Whoops, what's that? Yeah, so Godcatcher is down to the southwest, a few blocks, near the market. So if they're going by the market, that could go. And the Great Drunkard. These are really interesting parts of Waterdeep. So the funny thing is, they didn't have the Enchiridion when I play tested this, so I didn't know about the statues. So the statues are, I think, the statues to me are a theme of this adventure. There's something that you can continually sort of bring up and reinforce, and they are really fantastic. So to me, that they're kind of what makes this interesting. It's a tenement. No one goes inside. So that's 2 fantastic. And we could do a third. We're good for now. If we think of one. Because there's the drunkard, right? Where's the drunkard? There it is, great drunkard. We'll do that one. That's pretty cool. Yeah, auroras, right? I actually have that. You can buy that on the DM's Guild too. The original auroras catalog is there. It's kind of a fun, a fun thing. That's a fun place. They have to order it. I think they're like Sears, right? It's like Sears for D&D. So the other thing that's going to come up is they got to pay their fees and stuff, right? So let's go back because this was some complicated stuff if I recall. Yeah, the guild representatives. So the guild representatives include, yeah, like all of these guys, right? It's cost 1,000 gold pieces to revenate the tavern. And then they have to pay. Volo disappeared in mine. I don't know that he's ever coming back. They're kind of mad at him for screwing them out of the money. Yeah, so I think they're gonna have to, I wonder. And then you could have like a lender, right? Like somebody will, give them the money up front. Oh, I wonder. I bet. I wonder if Jarlaxle would do it. JB Nevercaught might do that. Castellanters could be an option, but I don't know that the Castellanters know about the party at all. Like, I think since they're the villains. I did look at Durnan's guide. Yeah, I have that, and yeah, I should dig deeper into that as well. Yeah, and she might be willing to put the money up front. But then they're in with them. Mert, of course. But they're not a very good deal. So the only people that would lend them money would be people that want them for something. So that's why, like, you know, JB Nevercott might do it. They got a hint about the guilds too. That there's a lot of guilds coming. So we might have some thugs. Oh, another possible option is exploring the sewers, right? They do now have an entrance into the sewers, and they could dig around there. So, oh, and missions, right? Like there's some of the missions. Let's go back to the missions. Let's see what some of those are. What were the Zent missions? Ah, here you go to the God Catcher. So these could be fun missions to drop in, like, you know, Yagra could mention to Anton, you know, hey, you know, if you're looking for a little coin, I know, you know, you could save me something. I've got plenty of work, but maybe you want to take this one on. And then what's the Gray Hand mission? I think I did those before. Yeah, I did this one before. It was kind of boring. I mean, it wasn't boring, but I've done it before, and I kind of want to do new ones. So I'll have to read through a lot of these quests and say, like, are some of these might be ones. Some of these might be ones that they pick up. So this is kind of the trick about this part of the adventure is it's really loose. It's not nearly as clean and clear as what other they don't you're given a lot of free reign. I mean, if you think about the number of factions and the number of quests that you get here, it's dozens and dozens of them instead of saying like here's, you know, a few options. So it's a little tricky to run. And probably it's worth the time, and I should probably take a little. Oh, let's see what Brigand Darth offers. Steal a handkerchief. This is a good one. He wants to shake up the noble houses, who he says are in cahoots with devils and stuff like that. They'll have to break in. Not sure what he's supposed to do. I want you to deliver an expose to Galaxy and publisher without his knowing who wrote it or where it came from. Okay, that's the goal. Wiley Hobbit says this approach is good. Yeah, I hope you like it. I mean, this you know, it's a structure, right? And I think I forget who I was talking to. I don't ever claim that like this is the way to prepare for D&D, but I think we struggle. Oh, I was talking to Adam Coble about this. That like, you know, one of the things Dungeon World does is Dungeon World tells you how to prep. It tells you what you do session to session, and that's really interesting. And I think we grab on because we need something. Like we're out in a big ocean, and we got no life preserver, you know. So, you know, I look at this book. It's like here's a life preserver. It's not the only one, and maybe not be even the best one, but it's out there, and you know, in about a half hour, you can generally have enough stuff ready to drop into your game. And it's built around improvisation. It's built around the idea that the characters are going to go lots of different directions. We don't know how they're going to pick it up. That's why secrets, I think, are so powerful, right? We don't know how they're going to show up. We don't know how they're going to learn this, but we do know the things they might learn, right? And we know they'll learn about half of what we write. I think that's really, really powerful. I think staying flexible with all of our stuff, you know, that's why I don't define encounters, because I don't know the encounter is going to work. So it's like thugs. My encounter is thugs, right? And then I'll figure out the rest. So yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for the compliment. Yeah. I always get a little nervous when people are like, oh, it changed everything. It's like, no, you're a smart person. You knew what you were doing before. This is hopefully just a shoving, you know, and give some advice to try things a different way. It's not the end all be all. It is, you know, the power that comes from good DMing comes from the DMs. It doesn't come from a book. But the book can hopefully act as a nice lever, you know, a way to help. This could be kind of fun. So yeah, so I really want to spend some time and figure out these other quests, because there's probably a few of these quests that are pretty interesting. You know, fun ones to try. I think the, you know, the funny one is the gray hand quests are not particularly interesting. Let's see, characters befriend. Huh. Yeah, so Starscream says, we got to a point where they were paralyzed with side quests and got way off the rails. Yeah, so that's something I want to avoid, right? I don't want to put so many of these things in place that yeah, people can just do everything. This chat, I mean, because the other one is it's only one level, right? And if you think about it, the way it's written is supposed to be level 2 to level 3, and mine it's going to be level 3 to level 4. I think, right? Yeah, Trollskull, they hit level 2. They are level 3 now. So by the time this ends, I think they're going to be level 4. That's Fireball, right? Let's see. Let's take a look at the chapters here. Because mine are going to be one level higher than the ones in the book. So this was level 1 to 3 was Friend in Need. Trollskull Alley is 1, 2 to 3. So they are third now. At the end of Trollskull, they'll be level 4, right? They were supposed to be level 3. Yeah. Then Fireball. So I might combine Fireball and the Chase to go 4 to 5. And that way they'll be 5th level by the time they come to the final the final event. So I guess they include all of this. Yeah. So we'll figure it out. It's designed to be till 5th, right? Do they do level advancement? So it's supposed to be 4th level by the time they start the chase. And we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about the chase because I have a different way to run that I think I'm gonna enjoy. So, but I think they will be 5th level when they're doing the chase in mine. Yeah, the problem is you can do a lot of stuff and not level, and I wanted people to level up a little faster. So, yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, and this happened to me in Storm King's Thunder, and it happened to me in Tomb of Annihilation, that there's so many side quests that if you level people at an appropriate level of like roughly every other session, right? That seems to be a good general feeling. Is every other session you should level up. The problem is if they're doing a bunch of side quests, they'll be like level 19 by the time you get to the end because those are big adventures. So I slowed the leveling way down in Tomb of Annihilation, and that got frustrating for players. Both my players are like, we've been level 9 for like 2 months. So yeah, there should be more options to increase to level faster, or I should have run those adventures quicker. So we'll see. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So like, what point does the fireball? I guess the nice thing is, the nice thing is, at the time when this chapter gets boring, pretty much at any point where you're like, people are getting lost, and just the next time they're there, that's when the fireball goes off. So that fireball does not have to happen at a good moment. It can happen anytime. So anytime you want to kind of move the story forward, the fireball goes off. And that to me is an interesting advancement. I think the only other thing though is eventually Raynar has to show up, right? And talk about, is it Raynar? Yeah. See, now I got to remember like what's supposed to happen here. So yeah, so the whole point is the Stone of Galore. But does Raynar actually tell the characters? When does Raynar show back up again in the story? I forget. I guess they know that the characters are tied to Raynar, right? That whoever it was that was going to bring the stone and died. Yeah, Dalekar, Rock Gnome spy working for Dagalt, was on his way to the characters when he went off. The reason why he was headed to the characters is because he knew that they were hanging out with Raynar. That's kind of a tricky bit, right? So basically, because they rescued Raynar, kind of everybody thinks the characters are involved, if I recall. Yeah. Maybe Raynar sent him. But that's the thing, right? A gnome was traveling to the characters with a stone, got blowed up by a fireball, craziness went out, and off he ran. So, all right. Well, yeah. So this is a loose chapter, and I'm running it loosely. So I've got my notes though. I don't think I need to draw any treasure. I've added this after game notes section. I got to start filling that out. But boy, I'm playing this one a little bit loose, so we're going to see how it goes. I know I only have 4 players today, so we can spend a little bit of time with their quests as well. So, ow, bang my foot. So this is This gives you kind of an idea of what a loose prep is like. It's not nearly as clean. In other ones, you will see it go a lot cleaner. Like once Fireball happens, things are going to tighten up again. And I'm not really used to running these sort of looser games. So we'll see how this goes. I don't feel as confident about this game as I do typically. So we'll take a look at how things go next week. So for all of you who are hanging out in Twitch chat today, thank you very much. For those of you watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed the show. And I will see all of you guys again in a week on my YouTube channel. You can take a look at the videos I've been putting together where I go through all of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master and spend time on each of these steps. I've got about 5 of those videos done now, and I've got about, 5 more to go before I'm done. So take a look at those videos if you want to see more about Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master and the process that we are going through and that we have kind of gone through today. So everybody have a wonderful week, and I will see you later.